Looking to make your locker room pop? Looking to refresh your look? Looking to redo your brand? Well, check out SI Design and Printing. They're going to transform your sports organization, athletic facilities into what you're looking for by enhancing the student-athlete experience, boasting the brand, and honoring your past. They do that with banners, backlit signage, locker graphics, window graphics, fence mesh graphic designs, and so much more. If you need a refresh, SI Design is going to help you do that. Check them out online, sidesign.net. And hey, if you're a parent or a grandparent, they've got something for you as well, as SI Design is the leading provider of custom sports prints. They offer a variety of products, including posters, banners, canvases, and more. All you have to do is upload your high-quality studio or action shot, and SI Design will create the memory for you. For more information, all you have to do is go to their website, sidesign.net/sports prints, and you'll get all the information that you need. You can also find them on Facebook. Just type in SI Design and Printing. Give them a call, 254-405-9492, or you can email them, info@sidesign.net, and tell Kyle that Sideline.
Hey, I mean, that was a good point.
I think we might start seeing some go back. Well, I know one thing. If the last 2 weeks haven't proven it, this is why you play the games. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett, Grant Goodwin here. Sideline to Sideline, the state semifinals show. That's right. You didn't hear for 2A, 3A, or 4A because we're going to do them all in one big badass show right here on L4 Media, brought to you by SI Design and Printing. And I mean, seriously, and we say this every year, but for this year, it feels a little different. Man, the games that have been played the last 2 weeks, the results that have happened have just been absolutely crazy.
Yeah, they have. And this week's slate, 2A.
Sorry, wrong one. Go ahead.
Yeah, cough button.
Yeah, you're number one now.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Number
2A, Division 1 and Division 2. What tasty matchups here in the semifinals, man. And they're all going to be slobber knockers, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it should be to earn the right to go to Arlington.
Well, and just through the whole classes that we cover, 2A, 3A, and 4A, it just certain divisions, it felt like you were destined to have this team be either, if not the state champion in the state championship game. And we love those teams, but man, it's so fun when you can look at 4A Division 2 now and go, man, I can make a case for everybody that's left, including Glen Rose, of winning state. And that's the fun part. I mean, the dynasties are great. You know, the Referios of the world, the Marts, the Carthages, the Alitos. You like those because they represent something that's fun to follow, but it's also fun when you see those teams get beat and you have a new champion.
Yeah, look at 2A Division 1 and 2A Division 2. 2A as a class, all the teams in the semifinals have 4 losses total amongst them. We've got, 1, 2, 3, 4 undefeated teams against some other teams that have 4 total losses between them in 2A Division 1 and 2A Division 2. You don't see that in a lot of classes.
Yeah, and especially not in this era where you see teams that are playing each other more across the regions and stuff. And the funny thing is one of the teams that has some of the losses is the team that pulled off maybe the biggest upset of the 2A playoffs. Ganado beating Refero, and not just beating them, but 41-12. They had a couple defensive turnovers. They did something that nobody has done except for maybe Hawley last year in the state championship game, and that's make Refero go one-dimensional, force them to throw. And as great as that passing game could be for Refero at times, it was always predicated on Ernest Campbell. And I know they use him at wide receiver.
Forced them to be perfect.
Yeah. And the running game allowed the passing game to be opened up. The Indians just shut them down for a night. I mean, again, it goes back to this is why you play the games, because we had it I thought it wasn't going to be much different than the non-district or the district game. And I mean, Refero, and Refero's been doing this in this region for 10 years now, but
Ganado's season had ended so many times at the hands of Refugio, and sometimes the bow breaks the other way. And again, that's why we like to play it. And so here we are. Let's go ahead and start in Class 2A Division One. Wait, what's going on with the thing? Oh, there we go. Sorry, the restreams is acting weird. Before we talk about Timpson Ganado, let's go ahead and start out in Region 1 versus 2. You've got Stratford, you got Toller, you've got two teams that have been headed this way all year long.
Yeah.
This, as great as Ganado Timpson is, and as great as Timpson Refugio could have been, Stratford Toller feels like two 2A heavyweights just about to get in the ring and go blow for blow.
Yeah, I don't know what to know about this one or to say about this one. Stratford 14-0, Toller 13-1. This is over in Vernon on Thursday at 5:00, the early kick there.
Yeah.
The great thing about this game is two great defenses facing off, right? Stratford, their defense allows about 10 points a game. Toller's defense allows about 11 points a game. And you got to factor in with Toller's defense, they gave up quite a bit to that the private school.
Dallas Christian,
Dallas Christian.
37 points. And in fact,
right. And Dallas Christian has put up a lot of points this year.
Yeah, and in fact, in the regular season, they gave up more points in that game than they did the rest of the season, regular non-district. I mean, the regular season combined. Now, they did give up 28 in the playoffs to Italy, but they scored 40 or 61. They gave up 19 to Marlin, but they scored 42. So, yeah, I think that's the big thing is you take that number out, and Toller's defenses probably drops by about a point. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Stratford's
we've got two comparative defenses, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I think for Toller, look, Peyton Brown is back for Toller, fullback. He had, and if there's any questions on whether or not he's back healthy, well, he is because he ran for 114 yards against Marlin last week, I think on the 16 carries. So that's big with for Toller's offense. And then Garrison Nation, the running back, and then Isaiah Blessing, two big weapons in that running attack for Toller. But man, they're taking on this Toller defense is taking on a offense from Stratford. The Elks, man, Bryce Braden has been money, a dual threat quarterback for Stratford. How'd they stop him?
Well, and this isn't a 2A quarterback that's small and scrappy and tough. This is a 6'3", 225-pound specimen at quarterback who will run you over. I mean, seriously, you almost have to worry with the winner of this game. Will they be so banged up from the physicality? Because look, again, no knock on Timpson or Ganado, they play football different, but just on pure physical alone, these are your top two teams when it comes to the physicality of the 2A Division One. And man, this is I say it, this is two heavyweights just going to get in the ring, and it's going to be right hand after left hand. You might see, one of those where the teams are kind of conservative, feeling themselves out. But at some point, as my old coach used to say, at some point, game's on. And I've gone back and forth more on this game than I have on, I think, all the games that we're picking tonight, because it's just, they are so evenly matched, in my opinion.
Yeah, they really are. And that's what you want.
Oh, yeah, it's 100%.
I think the X factor here is for Stratford, Jasu Lincoln, who has ran around 1,000 yards this year. You put that with Bryce Braden, I think that might stretch the Toller defense a little bit, if you can stretch the Toller defense. I like Stratford, but I think it could go either way.
I just keep going back to, and I know it doesn't always work this way, but Toller and Timpson, those are the teams that it felt like over the last 3 years kept coming up shorter than, we thought they would. Of course, we've talked about it with Toller, it was Crawford. With Timpson, it was Refugio. Both of those have been taken out of the equation. So I'm going to go with the Rattlers. But I do want to point out the thing that we keep forgetting about with Stratford is, if you remember, their head coach, Matt Lavorne, right in February or March, just decided, hey, I'm going to go be the offensive coordinator at Canyon. And they ended up naming, I think it was their secondary coach, Jonathan Murphy, as the head coach. That's impressive to me. Mm-hmm. And I know Stratford's one of those that's, they're a program and they're built to win. And, normally they go 12, 13 games, though last year I think it was Cisco that upset them in the second round of the playoffs. But still, I think that's pretty impressive. But Peyton Brown, this Toller Rattler, the Snake Farm has been rattling all year long. I don't think it stops now. I think Toller wins. I think this is a lower scoring game. I think it's a 28-21 type game. And give me Isaac Blessing making a big play on the last drive, and Toller wins. I think last man standing wins this game.
Yeah, I do too. So you've got Toller, and I've got Stratford. I think Playoff Tree has Stratford as well.
Is he wanting to talk? So he's now picking games.
Yeah, I'm just deferring to him.
This is kind of what happened with Coach X. I never signed on to that, and all of a sudden now he's like some big stud, and he's got a Twitter handle. Is this going to be the same thing with Playoff Tree?
I don't know.
Because Playoff Tree, no, I'm not asking him anything. Playoff Tree was like 50-50. Some people like Playoff Tree. Some owner of the company was not big on Playoff Tree. I'm not going to say I caught somebody trying to steal Playoff Tree, but that was Coach X, and he was naked, so it probably had nothing to do with whether people liked him or not. But anyway, so you have Stratford, I have Toller. And this is the way it should be. We should not be agreeing on games like this. All right,
wouldn't think.
Now, let's go to the other one in Class 2A Division 1. That's Timpson versus Ganado. Of course, Ganado beats their district rival, Refugio, in the big upset. Timpson beats Garrison. And we were joking about this. Outside of the Ganado team, there were so many rematches this year that the scores were almost identical. And it was the same way with Timpson. They beat Garrison in the regular season 35-26. They beat them in the playoffs 35-23. Look, we all know what it is with Timpson. It's Terry Bussey. It's J.J. Garner. I think it's a defense that doesn't get enough credit at times. They're not going to go out and necessarily hold teams to negative 20 yards, but they consistently hold teams in the 20s. And that's all you need when you have an offense like the Bears do.
Well, and it's a very quick defense. And we saw that against Beckville we went out there. This Timpson offense averages about 55 points a game. Ganado's defense only allows about 13 points a game. So there's kind of something's got to give kind of thing, right?
Yes.
But I think Terry Bussey and J.J. Garner, Amari Burton at receiver is going to make – I'm not going to say this Ganado defense look pedestrian because they won't, because this Ganado defense will have something for them. But at the end of the day, I think they moved the ball too much on them. Now, Ganado with Bryce Ullman, a great quarterback, almost 3,030 yards.
That's kind of gotten lost in the whole Refugio game. It's become talking about the defense, and rightfully so. The defense played well with a couple touchdowns. But at the end of the day, it was that offense that kept putting Refugio in bad spots.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Playoff Tree might have a pick. I don't know.
Okay, what does he want to say?
Well, Terry, do you not want to hear from me?
No,
my pick?
Just go ahead. Just what's your pick?
All right. Well, first of all, this game is at Wood Forest Stadium.
And
I grew up in a nursery not too far from there, so it was great.
Was this before you transferred to Pine Tree?
Yeah. It was a nursery, and then I went to Pine Tree. It was great. And don't forget, I was a recruit coming out of high school.
Oh, for what?
Quarterback. I could have walked on at SFA, but they're the Lumberjacks, and what kind of tree wants to go play for the Lumberjacks?
You're a Stanford man, I bet.
Well, actually, yes. I tried to walk on at Stanford. I was more of a pocket passer. I couldn't move very well.
Oh, your roots were deep down?
Very deep down. So I became the live mascot. A sequoia, I guess. I'm a pine, a Douglas fir.
You're a pine and a Douglas fir?
Well, more of a Douglas fir. I gotta say, Dad, he was a pine. Mom was a Douglas fir. We met at a bar outside of Beaumont, or Mom and Dad did. They got a little freaky in a Motel 6, and I guess that's what happened to me. So I'm a little bit of a mixed breed. So I'm a Douglas pine / fir.
So who's your pick?
Oh, I guess we'll cut to that then. I like Timpson in this ball game. I think Timpson probably gonna win it all in 2A. Did Coach X not have enough balls to pick this game?
He's not picked games all year in 2A.
Oh, that's sad. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, so I'll see you, I guess since I'm playoff tree, I won't get to pick anymore or talk anymore on the show until next year in the playoffs, so this is playoff tree signing off, unless I get to get that gig as Big Tex at the state fair. That's what I'm really shooting for. Hola, Mexicans. Welcome to the State Fair of Texas. Bienvenidos.
All right, I have
Amigos.
I have a feeling we're going to be hearing more from playoff tree here tonight. So I've got Timpson. You've got Timpson. I still don't understand who the playoff tree picked.
I think he picked Timpson, but I don't know.
All right. So you have Stratford versus Timpson in the state championship. I have Timpson versus Toller in the state championship. Either way, and if Ganado gets in,
that's a great final.
Any of the matchups in this one is going to be perfectly fine. And again, that's we say that's all you care for. For people like me and you who don't have a true rooting interest of a team, that's all we want. We just want a good football game.
Yeah.
And we want a good matchup, and we want it to be a fun one. All right, let's go over now to Class 2A Division 2, and let's do the same thing. Let's pick the state semifinals. Sunray versus Albany. I will never doubt Sunray again. I mean, man, they are just putting up numbers. They're that playoff team that when you start to see.
Why they're putting up numbers, right?
Why is that?
Because one of the best quarterbacks in West Texas or the Panhandle, Armando Lujan, 4,000 yards passing, around 1,000 yards rushing. But he's setting records that are up there with Kyler Murray, Tyree Rawson for Sulphur Springs. I mean, this dude is doing it all.
No, you're exactly right. And then what they're doing defensively, holding a Clarendon team that have been pretty darn good offensively through the playoffs and all year to 6 points. That's just mind blowing to me. Like I had no I went with Clarendon, but you went with Sunray, and I had no problem with that. I thought it was going to be a 1 or 2 possession game, but you get these teams, man, and you look what they did. They had to battle with Wellington, and Wellington's Wellington, and other than that, though, they gave up 7 in the first round, 6 in the third round. They're just rolling right now, but they're playing an Albany team that, that Munster put a scare in them. And we all bit into the, okay, Albany's starting to run out of gas, and Collinville's got that great quarterback, and Collinville's got that great passing attack and that kind of underrated defense. And Albany just said, no, we're good. We're going to destroy them 52 to. I'm not shocked that they won. I'm shocked that they won 52-14.
Albany defensively is only allowing 7 points a game.
Yes.
So, Lujan, as good as he's been, can he crack this Albany defense, man? I don't know, but he's got really good weapons and 3 receivers that can stretch the field, and Damian Berrigan, Dawson Bennett, and Keegan Davis, right? And then throw in Arnold Mendoza at running back. This is going to be a tough nut for this Albany defense to crack, but I just keep going back to Albany's physicalness.
Adam Hill
on both sides of the ball. Adam Hill, Jackson Hole, both
Casey Fairchild.
Yeah. Branson Beal.
It just feels like Albany, we talked about this at the beginning of the year. They had been a Region 1, region semifinal power for years. They just couldn't quite break through. And then when they would break through, they'd get upset in the semifinals. And last year they finally broke through, and they get the state champion. And sometimes a program will either go back to just being, okay, we're back to being good, or they all of a sudden make that next step, and now they're a state level consistently, and it just feels like that's where Albany's about to be.
Yeah.
Everything is telling me Sunray's going to win this game, but I'm just now leaning on until you beat Albany, I'm going to pick Albany.
Yeah, I think Albany's just – look, I know Lujan is the X factor in this ball game, and how Albany's defense handles him is going to be
key, that's going to decide a lot, yeah.
But I think Albany's defensive front gets enough penetration to just kind of muck things up enough where he's got to really, really work, right?
Yeah.
And I think Albany wins this one. It's going to be a classic.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be an absolute war, man. And it's great to see Sunray, a team that just a few years ago, back-to-back 2-8, 1-9 years to now, they're sitting here and this is only their 25th playoff appearance. And you're starting to see, though, laying that foundation down. Last year they were 9-3. This year they're 12-2. That's how, you'll have some teams that just, they leap 3 or 4 years of development and immediately win a state championship. But for the most part, you can look and see teams that where they start. Look at Franklin 12, 13 years ago. They were always 9-3, 9-2. And then they started going, okay, now they're in the third round. Then they started getting into the fourth round. Sunray is starting to do that. And I think this is going to be an absolute battle. Again, I'm going to go with the Lions until they lose. Over on the other side, I think we have one of the underrated, going to be one hell of a matchups. That's Mart versus Chilton. And folks, what Chilton is doing in the playoffs at this point, they've given up 13 points and they've scored 132 points. And we're not talking about beating crappy teams. They beat Falls City 53-7. They beat Granger 45-0. So Chilton right now is rolling. But, oh, by the way, so is Mart. Lovelady played well against Mart for 2.5 quarters and still get beat by over 37 points.
Yeah, they were within striking distance, at least in the second quarter when I looked down at that.
Yeah, and then Mart just became Mart. And that's the thing that, we always talk about Mart and everybody talks about their athletes. And, they're amazing. But Mart also just knows when to turn it on. And they did that against Lovelady. They end up winning comfortably, but man, I think this.
The story of this game here is the two defenses.
Yes,
Mart allows about 8 points a game. Chilton about 9.6, somewhere around there. So defensively, this could be a defensive battle with offensive stars being the star of the show.
Yes,
look at JD Bell for Mart, Montreal Matlock, the quarterback. For Mart, but then you go over to Chilton and Markedrick Taylor, who is one of the best utility type players out there in Class 2A, and then DeCorian Evans, who is a huge 1,500 and some odd yards rushing type running back, and Isaiah Red, who has thrown for over 3,600 yards.
Chilton a couple years ago, they kept struggling to get past Tenaha, and they finally did. And then Mart 2 years ago destroyed them 56-10. Now it's Mart once again in front of them. This time, instead of being in the same region, they're in different regions. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to forget who Mart is, and I'm the one that's been saying, like, people keep, Mart's not being talked about. It's Albany, and it's mainly Albany, but people keep forgetting Mart's still there, but something tells me the Pirates are going to find enough offense. I'm like you. I think this is a lower scoring in the 20s type game. I think there's going to be some big plays. And I think
just shocks me that Mart and Chilton has not played in the regular season.
Yeah,
down
I know.
the road from each other. Right?
I mean, that I know of. Let me see. Maybe
they haven't.
They haven't. They've only played in the playoffs. So
I believe so. Go look it up.
But I can only look up through 2018, and they haven't.
No,
played
I meant this season. I'm sorry.
Oh no, they didn't play this year. No, I know that. Yeah,
right down the road.
Yeah, they are right down the road.
Yeah.
In fact, you can make the case, why are they in separate regions? Because they have to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. But I think the Pirates win this one. I think it's gonna be like, again, 28-27, 21-20, something like that. But I think the Pirates have just enough to get past them this year.
I was going Chilton until you said.
Well, you're allowed to go Chilton too. Or wait, are you saying my picks are so bad that if I go, you immediately go to the other one?
Well, pretty much.
I get you. That's fair.
No, I do have Mart in a very close one.
Sweet. So, like, high scoring, low scoring, any scoring? I mean,
mid. I think when you think it's going to be low scoring, that's when it hops up on you.
Yeah, right? I've noticed that. And it might not be like.
I think it'll be a 35-30 type game.
Yeah, in today's world, that's average scoring for high school football. Yeah, it's weird how when we'll see a game and you think it's going to be high scoring and it's not, and you see a game that you think will be more defensive, and there's a lot of points, but when you go look at the yardage totals, it doesn't match because there's big plays here and there.
Yeah, and this game is going to come down to the old cliche, penalties, turnovers. Special teams.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Special teams is going to be huge, too, by the way.
We're being very cliche.
Yeah, but
we're going to be right. That's the first three things you should look at.
Teams, penalties,
turnovers. Yep.
So whoever wins 2 out of those 3 wins this game.
All right, that is 2A in the books. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to do it all again for 3A right here on the SI Design Sideline to Sideline State Semifinal shows on L4 Media.
Helmets don't protect every direction of force, and in some sports, a helmet just isn't part of the equipment, like basketball or soccer. Hockey has a small type of helmet. They just don't protect you against all the directions of forces that come into play. You can get forces on top of your head, on the side, on the back, but under the chin, there's nothing to protect that except for a physiologically positioned jaw. Putting your jaw in its physiologic rest position brings the actual jawbone away from the skull, so that when you receive that force from an impact, that force doesn't get translated through the joint into that cradle of the skull, injuring the brain.
L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out.
All right, Terry Bennett back here. Wanted to also give a shout out to Everidge Farms. You can find them online at everidgefarms.com. If you like meat, they're the place you want to go, as you can buy farm raised from birth to harvest. Harvest, that means that like they grow them and they put them like in the tiller and they cut them up like wheat, right?
No, they usually put a bolt through their head when they harvest them.
So I had the pleasure of getting to see that in person a few times, and that
The pleasure?
I meant that like sarcastically.
Serial killers would say that.
You know what you should see what they do to trees, man. They put them feet first when they go to the thing, and that's supposedly so you can hear them scream. Just saying. What do you think about that?
Well, Terry, this is playoff tree, and I don't think we should be talking about wood chippers right now.
I think playoff tree is just Grant in a voice disguise. That's my whole thing. I think it's like the Wizard of Oz.
Grant's a god to me, like he is to so many other people, but we're not talking about Grant. I don't like the fact that you bring up wood chippers.
I'm just saying. I was just freaking out. It's an ad read for Everidge Farms. That's all, buddy.
Don't make an enemy like Coach X did.
Oh, are you saying that you and Coach X have some issues?
Well, we're on speaking terms. He tried to take me out to Rick's Cabaret the other day, but how can you sneak a tree into a food bar?
You can just tell him you have a Woody. But bump. Oh wait, hang on.
That's kind of where I was going with that. Thanks for stealing my thunder, Terry.
There we go. We've got bits.
Maybe I'll check out of this because that was pretty cheesy.
All right, playoff tree. Anyway, we want to thank Everidge Farms for being a sponsor. You can find them online at everidgefarms.com. The best thing they have is their boxes, their monthly specials. Like they have a farmer's box. They have the West Texas meat box. And basically you get a whole ton of meat for a great low price. So check them out, Everidge Farms. You can also find them on Facebook at everidgefarms.com. What?
Ladies, You get a lot of beef if you go out with me. Okay, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Sorry, he.
All
he
right.
We'll just.
Let's just
We
move
just probably need to put him back in his box.
well, he's got to be here through February, man. Because if you don't notice, the playoff tree has also NFL helmets because that's the playoff tree for the NFL season as well.
Oh man, look at him hitting the pros.
Yeah, you don't have
He went high school, skipped college, and going pro.
Well, that's why if you notice, there's
what is he, LeBron?
If you notice, there's the old Southwest Conference Cup glass right there in the middle.
I see it.
And then you can't see because of the thing, but we have the Longhorn helmet down there celebrating. Hang on real quick. That was bad.
God.
That's why I knew I had to just
developing sneeze.
I knew we just had to let it go
that
though.
Looked like a Eustace Bulldog draw play.
Okay, why is this the second time?
I don't know.
You just in a kick Eustace.
All their plays took 5 minutes to develop.
You wanna know what a bad start to your career is?
What's that?
For 1 year, I had to do a Kemp and Eustace coaches show. And this is not the Kemp of 5 years ago that somehow made it to the state semis. This was the Kemp of, well, it's a lot of just no.
So that's how you end up here with me in playoff tree.
That's how playoff tree. You have to do a couple of those shows. You get saddled with playoff tree. All right, let's get into Class 3A Division 1. Oh, and by the way, before we do all that,
listen,
we're just bits upon bits.
Gonna give it to you. Wait for you to get it on your own.
All right, it's Coach X. He's a real coach in the Texas high school football world. He likes to fax in stuff to us each and every week. Here we go. Getting down to the big time. I ask you how much better is our system than college football? If we had the same system, there would be a good chance Franklin would not have made the playoffs, and yet they're still playing. Hey, what does the playoff tree think about that? Actually, on second thought, don't ask the playoff tree. That thing haunted me to the very depths of my soul. The playoffs are supposed to be a festive time of happiness, and our playoff tree has the voice of evil. Is the playoff tree's mother named Rosemary? Was it born on 6th of June in the 6th round of the playoffs? I need an old coach and a young coach. Whoa. The power of the playoff compels you.
Exorcist.
Yes, I know. Okay. The power of the playoff compels you. Have Roger Staubach throw a long bomb to Drew Pearson close to the playoff tree. I believe that has some religious connotations to it. No, by the way, I went like 29-3 last week. No, you didn't. I don't know. We don't count on with the picks. No, actually, he did. I was reading his stuff today when I was cleaning up from the last show. Yeah, you don't realize the crap I have to throw away after Grant gets done. Just standing here for a night. Now him and playoff tree are drinking together and trying to watch, messed up porn on the cable channels and stuff. This job sucks sometimes. All right, let's go to Class 3A Division 1. We're going to start out in the Region 1 versus Region 2 because you want to talk about a matchup of will versus will, power versus power. Who pushes who the most is going to win this game. Rematch of last year, Brock versus Malakoff. This is going to be a great one.
Yeah, it is. Brock 11-3, Malakoff 14-0. This is 7:00 over at the Ford Center in Frisco. Me and I guess Jimmy will be there. Yep. You're going to be watching online. You got some other stuff to do, but I will definitely be on there, be at this game. This again, just like 2A, two defenses.
What's up?
Was that urine or water?
It's water.
Okay.
What is wrong with you tonight?
I don't know. I can't see you. Playoff trees in the way.
I'm trying I know he's already become like a pain in the ass in the relationship. Isn't he?
He has. He's kind of maybe way to get rid of the guy.
Oh, I tried to burn him last night and it didn't work. Just get it across.
Two defenses. Right here, Brock's defense only allows under 12 points a game.
Yeah.
And Malakoff's defense allows just under 9 points a game.
And you're talking about a Brock team that in the non-district played the likes of Wimberley and Gunter and gave up 28 and 35 in Pleasant Grove. And
only gave up 20 to Pleasant Grove. I think it was 20, right?
No, it was 10-6.
Was it 10?
Yeah, again, they only scored after what would have been the go-ahead kneel-down win and the fumble. But
now Gunter put 35 on them, but you throw that out, and that average is way lower.
Well, I'll put it to you this way: against 3A Division 1 teams this year, They've given up 17, 20, 33, about 42 points total.
Yeah.
Total.
Not bad.
Wow.
Not bad at all. Now, they're going up against a Malakoff offensive line that is huge. I don't think you realize how big they are until you see Malakoff in person or on film. They are huge up front. Mike Jones at quarterback is a beast. He is a grown-ass man.
And, the thing about him is he's not one of those quarterbacks that you can actually say this is what he does great, because he just does what's needed.
Yeah.
If he needs to go out and throw for 225 yards and 4 touchdowns, he'll do that. If he needs to run for 145 yards and 3 touchdowns, he'll do that. And if he needs to do both of them in the game,
will allow you to do anything you want.
100%.
And Malakoff's offensive line is the unsung hero of this Malakoff team. Now, Brock has a equally as good offensive line, right?
Yes.
Brody Woods, his head quarterback, has been allowed to grow into this position because of that offensive line. Brody Woods has thrown for 2,240 yards and ran for almost 1,100 yards.
And to me, this year, he has put Brock's offense back into a position of strength. I didn't feel last year, even though they made it all the way to the state championship game and was within one drive of winning that, I never felt if their offense would have been forced to that they necessarily could have gotten to a shootout. I think this year's Brock Eagle offense, Carson Finney on the wideout, I can't think of the other guy's name.
Britton Burrows.
Yeah, Britton Burrows, just play after play last week against Paradise. Taylor, our cameraman and producer of this show, he was out there and he shot what was basically the game finishing catch. And I mean, he goes up between 2 defenders and just pulls it down. And this is feeling, I don't know, Brock just feels different than they did last year or the year before last when they made it to state, but then weren't able to finish it. But in saying that, Malakoff, I mean, they took last year's thumping from Brock and they used that all off season. They used it whenever they were tired of working out to remind themselves that, hey, Brock's still working out and Brock out physical. That score last year, 21-10, doesn't tell you how bad Brock dominated Malakoff. At one point, Malakoff had like 5 first downs. Malakoff is better this year. Brock is better this year. Who's better for this game, though? What are your thoughts?
I've been going back and forth. I came into the studio wanting to pick Malakoff.
Yeah.
Since then, I switched about 5 or 6 times. I'm actually going Brock with that defense. I know Malakoff's defense is really darn good, but I don't think they played the level of the defensive front Malakoff hasn't, that Brock has, and the linebacker.
That's a good point.
And you throw in Brett Tutter at running back, who's just a battering ram. Then you can throw in Vance Guthrie at running back for Brock. I think Brock wins this one in an absolute classic. But I could see Malakoff winning this game.
Oh, yeah, this is a one-possession game.
There's a scenario where Malakoff wins by 10 points, but I'm just going by feel right now. And that Brock defense and the way this offense and Brody Woods is starting to just get better and better, especially since that Gunter game.
Yeah.
I'm going Brock in a very close one.
All right, let's see what Coach X has to say, and then I'll give you mine. Hey, remember when you two went to the Brock Gunter game and came back and was like, Brock is terrible, they're going to get trashed? I don't think we ever said that. And y'all were going on and on about how Winsboro was just as good as the Tigers and would give them a game. Yeah, we did. I'll admit that. Well. Looks like the glove is over on the other shoe on top of this shelf now. Yes, you both did. Taylor, play that back for him. Taylor hasn't been doing that for a couple weeks now there, buddy. But, hey, you keep pretending. Dynamite producing job there, Taylor. If nobody's told you you're doing a hell of a job, you've somehow made Terror Bear look more like Bam Bam Bigelow. Good job. I'm still picking Malakoff, though. I'm like you. I went back and forth. Can I tell you after the game's played?
Yes, you can.
I'm going to go Malakoff.
Are you? Okay.
I don't know why. I just feel like
probably because they're pretty damn good.
Yeah, probably that might be why. But I mean, what they did to Winsboro last week.
Oh, dismantled and a really good Winsboro
yes,
team.
And all jokes aside about it, that was a really good Winsboro team with a really darn good quarterback and a great wide receiver core. And I go back to, and I'm actually going to use Matt Diggs on this because he brings up a good point. Even in this win streak through the playoffs, Brock just turns the ball over. Like they had a couple last week. They had a couple the week before. And usually because of who they're playing, that doesn't hurt them. You can't do that against Malakoff. I don't think you can have 2 turnovers against a team like Malakoff and expect to win.
Brock forces turnovers in big games.
Oh, yeah, they do. But I'm just saying, though, offensively, they just have a habit of turning the ball over. I mean, you go look at that Franklin game, and what lost them the game was the fumble that, again, kind of like the Pleasant Grove bad luck. He's getting held up, and he can't fall down. But, I mean, that's just what Brock has done, and they're good enough to usually get past that. And they are good enough to do that and get past Malakoff. I just don't think they will. I think Mike Jones is going to have the game of his life. Great thing is whoever wins this, they're going to have to turn around and then have the game of their life in the next round because we're about to talk about that. But give me Malakoff in a very, very close game. I kind of feel like what we were talking about earlier. I kind of feel like this might be higher scoring than what people are thinking. I kind of see both offenses making some big plays. I'm taking Malakoff 42-38.
Whoever wins this game scores over 35.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're going to have to actually score in this one. And again, watch, it'll be like last year, 21-10, 300 yards of total offense between both teams. But anyway, I've got Malakoff. You've got Brock, and Coach X has herpes. All right, let's go over to Franklin versus Edna.
Ooh, and we're on the same page. No, Coach X and I are like this. We're cool.
Well, like, how cool are y'all? Do like y'all share certain medication together and stuff like that? I'm just asking.
No, not on any medication other than Advil after the night.
After tonight. All right, let's go over to the other bracket. We've got a rematch of last year, Franklin versus Edna. Of course, Franklin got the rematch themselves against Lorena this past week, winning 49-27. You were at that game.
Yeah.
And I mean, as great as that Lorena win was in district play, I even told you this when we did the Fannin show. And by the way, you can hear the Franklin show. It'll be recorded on Wednesday afternoon. I'll have it up as soon as it's done. He had a quiet confidence about this game. I mean, he had all respect to Lorena. He knows how great Lorena is. Even he talked about it. This was their 9th matchup. Franklin now has the series lead 5-4. That's how good these two teams are against each other. But he really felt that if they just cleaned up some of the things they did in that first game, that they would be all right. And they
cleaned it up too. I mean, Jaden Jackson did what Jaden Jackson does, but the X factor here in the playoffs for Franklin is Devin Hedrago has just been on fire the last 6
and he's
weeks.
A great story. His stepdad passed away.
That's right.
And, Coach Fannin talked about it last week on the show. This was a guy that was very ingrained. Everybody in Franklin's ingrained to the football program, and he was one of them. His name's Bruce. And he passed away, and he said, they didn't really know how Devin was going to react. You never know how, and he has taken all that. And
he is so elusive, man.
So elusive. And over the last 6 weeks, you could make the case that maybe he's been the best football player for Franklin.
He might have. But that defense for Franklin's really stepped up with Major Kimbrough, Braden Yoree, Cameron Zamora. That defense has been really darn good.
Don't they? And that's what they do in the playoffs, man. Yeah. They'll give up some points, and they'll give up some points in the playoffs, but you've got to earn them. And you look at what they've done the last 2 weeks. Holding Little River Academy, a team that could score to 27, and then holding a team like Lorena, who I think was averaging 58 points a game going into this and had scored 52 on Franklin when they played earlier, holding them to 27. Again, that might not be eye-popping till you realize the offenses that they're doing that to.
Yeah, well, they'll need to be on top of their game this week against Edna because Jaden Clay, quarterback, Cade Rodas at running back have been money all year.
Yeah.
Edna's defense playing pretty well. They've given up some points.
Not quite as good as they were last year.
Right. But I think all in all, Edna's as good, if not better, as a total team than they were last year. But I still like Franklin by 10 to 13, 14 points.
Yeah, I love Edna. I love how they do their coming out, and they have the corral and all. I love the fandom there, but this is just simply a bad matchup.
Yeah.
It was a bad matchup last year. Not enough has changed to make it a less bad matchup. I mean, both these teams returned almost everybody at key positions from last year. Last year was 41-13. I'm like you. I think Edna's better this year, but I don't think they're making up 30 points. So give me 42-28 type of game.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Hey, remember that time I picked Edna and you guys picked Blanco? But he's really living on that 29-3 thing. And you said I was stupid. That was awesome. Who's stupid now, Larry? Hey, did y'all know that the playoff tree has power of possession? He's really afraid of the playoff tree, man. This is kind of weird seeing him like this. I went back and listened to the show, and I think the playoff tree was speaking as Grant a couple times. Then Grant told me he got really sick that night and threw up a lot. Said the tree made him drink a lot. I think we need to burn that thing. Fannin and the Lions give a rock bottom to the Fighting Stone Colds and roll on to the Survivor Series next week. Yes, I know.
Well, Coach X, seems we got a little bit of a duel here, don't we?
I think this is just you. I think you're
I'm
just
more of a loving kind of guy. I don't like to really fight, but I mean, you're asking me to a duel. I'm going to tell Terry to hold my beer. I drink a lot of it.
so wait.
But I'm going to say this: you mess with the tree, you get the branch.
Well, I was just about to ask you. So, do you pick out your own branch, or do you ask somebody here pick out the branch I'm going to use to whip your ass?
In Coach X's case, I'll ask him, hey, you can even pick the branch.
Oh.
Yeah. The only way you can get to me is cut my root. But my roots are pretty strong. They're deep. I don't even think Coach X has the physical ability to get to my roots to be under. I mean, you just can't.
Well, so I got to ask you this, playoff tree. So, do you know Adrian Peterson? Did you have anything to do with that back in the day?
Well, I was the one that actually gave him the nickname of AD.
For
Yeah,
all day?
his dad was a lumberjack, right? I think. I don't know. Maybe it was a car salesman. One of the two. I don't know. But it was in Palestine, Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a girlfriend who was from Palestine, and she had a friend that was from Gaza. Well,
Wait, Gaza?
yeah, Gaza.
Like
you know,
the
like,
Gaza Strip?
Well, that leads into my next part of the story because we were at a club one night and the girl from Gaza came up. She was like, hey, I've got the Gaza Strip down below. Not a landing strip, a Gaza Strip. And I'm like, oh my gosh, a Gaza Strip. So anyway, Adrian Peterson's dad comes in and takes my girl away from me. And I'm like, well, that's actually perfect for me because now I get the Gaza Strip. And then he's like, well, I want you to meet my boy who I brought into a bar. He's 10 years old. And I was like, all right, I'll take that all day. You're going to be all day Peterson. A.D. Peterson. Then he went to Oklahoma and then turncoat.
All right, let's go over to Class 3A Division 2. I'm so sorry, people.
I'm sorry too. I don't know why
This was
you would
y'all's
do that.
fault.
You put him in the box and put him
50%.
away.
I can. He's the playoff tree. It's the playoffs. We celebrate the playoffs here. Jesus.
Okay.
And we celebrate Jesus. All right, let's go to Class 3A Division 2. Here it is. We've been waiting all year long. I am so excited. Tidehaven versus no. Well, that's
Actually,
a great game too.
game.
But let's talk about it. Canadian, Gunter, rematch 8, 9. I mean, we're talking about two teams that have never played each other in the regular season, yet have maybe right now the best rivalry going in 4A down. And it's all because their games mean something because it's always for a state championship slot. And I don't think it's any different this year. Gunter, of course, beat Jacksboro last week, 55-33 a game I was at. Canadian dispatched of Wall 31-12. And Wall being Wall, they made Canadian. I went back to watch some of that one. They made Canadian earn every yard. Boy, Walls. I mean, they're always physical, but man, Wall this year, they were pads of popping there. But we get Canadian, we get Gunter. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, this is two defenses again. Once again, defense seems to be the theme of the story in the semifinals and on, right?
Yep.
I mean, if defenses win championships, this is the case for it, right?
Yep.
Canadians' defense only allows about 14 points a game. Gunner's defense only allows 6.8 points a game. Who's going to be more physical up front? I feel like Canadian with Cameron Cavalier, who has had a banner year, 3,700 yards passing, 1,400 yards rushing, and then the receivers and Luke Flowers, 1,380 yards receiving, Preston Newmeyer, 1,150 yards receiving, and then a really good running back in Caden Cooks. This is an offense that can push this Gunner defense. I think Canadian can move the football on Gunner, much like Jacksboro did, but can Canadians' defensive front hold up against Walker Overman and that Gunner offense? And I don't know about that, man. That Walker Overman is such a tough dude to stop. Well, he gets lost behind that offensive line. You can't find him, and then boom, he's gone.
Well, and the thing that I took away from that game, Jacksboro was better than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I kept, and again, part of it's because it's Jacksboro and they hadn't been this far, but I kept dismissing them. I dismissed them against Holiday. I dismissed them against Gunner, and Lando Belcher and them in that first half answered as well as they could against Gunner. And we've heard that Gunner might be beat up a little bit on defense and all, but the thing that even all that, what I took away from all that was Jacksboro gave everything they could, did everything right outside of one interception in that first half, and yet Gunner just never let off the gas.
Right.
They just they're hey, you score, that's great. We get the ball quicker, we'll go score again. Oh, you scored again? Awesome. We're going to do it again.
Right.
And we're going to bet you. And it's the same thing. So me and intern know.
But now Canadians going to have a better defense, way better defense than what Jacksboro had.
Yeah, but I don't think they stopped. I don't think they stopped.
Well, I don't think they.
I think this is another high-scoring game.
I think Canadian has to get 3 or 4 stops in this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. Whoever wins is going. They might give up, and I don't know if they will, but I'm saying whoever wins might end up giving up 35 points, and it'll look bad. But go back to that Seattle-Dallas game where you just need the defense to make 3 stops. Let the offense take care of everything else. You just make the 3 key stops when we need. We're going to get out there with a win.
I think
and that's
if you're
the
going to this game, like I'm going to this game, right?
Yeah.
I think if you're going to this game expecting to see the same type of game as you did last year,
21-20.
It's not going to happen.
And that's a game Canadian probably should have won.
Yeah.
I mean, that last touchdown's a legend of, a legend of lore.
Canadian was running the ball on Gunner, They were, but Gunner found a way to win. Yeah, there was a questionable call at the end that Canadian didn't get that touchdown. But that's the kind of game it was. I don't think it's the same type of game.
No, I think both offenses are just better this year, and I think both defenses are fine. I just think both offenses are just at a different level this year.
Yeah.
All right. So who do you have?
I'm going. Excuse me, Gunner.
Okay.
I think so. Yes, I'm going Gunner in a very close one here.
Yeah, I'm going Gunner as well. I still think at the end of the day, Gunner's just they're a machine. The Canadians a machine too, but it's just different.
I know they're probably playing with some injuries. They had some dudes out, right? But as long as Walker Overman's in there, and they got 3 of those 5 offensive linemen, they're going to be hard to stop.
Songs will be written about Walker Overman. He is just, you don't see that type of quarterback anymore.
Yeah.
And he does it so well. It's just absolutely awesome to watch. All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. Wow, this is awesome. Gunner versus Canadian 8. The fate of these semifinals. Well, I didn't see that movie, and I don't really want to see this one. When is the UIL going to say, hey, to hell with it. Make Van Diesel the head coach at Gunner. Roll the credits in Jumbotron at ACU, and we have a Wiz Khalifa song playing over them. Every time I walk out of one of those movies, I say, damn it, Van Diesel, you got me again. PSA, real fast. It is the cold and flu season. So you Gunner kids, did you get your shots back in October, or did you get kicked out of school the last week of October? Wow. Somebody's salty. Yeah. Canadian wins. We knew he was going to go with Canadian. But this is actually one of the few times that he goes against Gunner, and it's actually not a bad pick. I I haven't gone back and forth on this one as much, though. For some reason, I'm really comfortable with. I think Gunter. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be close, but I think Gunter will win comfortable by the end.
I am not comfortable in my Gunter pick.
Okay.
Though I do think they'll win. Canadian. Look how good they were, especially that first half against Bushland.
Oh, I know.
Totally different team, but Bushland was from Gunter. But I just how physical Canadian is.
No, you're not wrong. I don't know.
To pick against them.
I don't know. I
do like Gunter.
It felt like to me the Jacksboro game was perfect for Gunter. It challenged them just enough to remind them that hey, you can't get comfortable. You've got Canadian next week. And it's funny how you and I were just talking about this. Duncanville, North Shore's kind of gotten old, but for some reason, Gunter Canadian, because every game's always different with them. Sometimes they're high scoring, sometimes they're not. I don't know. They're just fun to watch. All right, let's flip over to the other side. And I do want to congratulate Tidehaven finally getting over the hump, getting into the state semifinals. They were down multiple times last week by a couple scores. In fact, I thought it was done. And then Jeremy Hargrove, our Columbus fan, I think he has a cousin that's the head coach at Tidehaven, or he knows the guy. He messaged me and goes, they finally did it. They pulled it out, double overtime, 34-28. And all of a sudden, the Tigers kind of have that magical feel about them that you see teams that are everybody knows is good, but they just continue to get better week in and week out. And here we are against Daingerfield. This is an underrated, really damn good game, Grant.
Yeah, it really is. Look, let's go to Tidehaven. Man, their defense has only allowed 69 points all year, and their running back, Joseph Dodds, probably one of the best players in the region, averages 150 yards a game on the ground.
Yeah, is he going to A&M?
That I don't know.
He's going somewhere. He's a D1 guy, and he should be.
Good's a beast.
And what I've been impressed with is as they've gotten in the last couple of rounds of the playoffs where teams are better and they have given up points, that offense has been able to match them, just drive for drive. And that was the question that we had about them because, they have a sophomore quarterback in Kel Russell, and he's really good, but it's basically been Joseph Dodds in the defense.
Yeah.
It's good to see against Rogers scoring 56, against Poth scoring 34, that when you need to score, you can, because as good as their defense is, I think they're going to give up some points to Daingerfield, and I think they're going to have to score if they want to win this game.
Exactly, because Tidehaven has not matched up against an athletic team like Daingerfield yet. I don't care who they played. Daingerfield's the most athletic team they'll see in the next 15, 20 years.
Yep.
I mean, Daingerfield with Chase Johnson at quarterback, Kenny Mosley and Aaron Hampton at receiver, Ashton Williams at running back, a very quick defense for Daingerfield. If Daingerfield shows up and plays the way they're capable of playing, they're going to make life hell for Tidehaven. Now, I will say this, Joseph Dodds for Tidehaven is a lot like Peyton Brown for Toller was, right? He can take over a game.
Oh, yeah.
And if Tidehaven's going to win, it's going to have to be within the between the tackles.
I mean, is this not a game you're telling Dodds? Well, I mean, you've been telling him all year, but you tell him, hey, buddy, 45 carries might be what's needed.
Yeah, you're going to have 45, 50 carries tonight, and then next week you're going to have to do it again.
200 carries.
After that, you can rest. You don't have to play basketball. You don't do anything. This is what you got to do. I think they're up. I think Tidehaven is up against it, though, with the athleticism of Daingerfield. I mean, when Daingerfield comes out and plays the game they want to play, they're hard to beat. Almost nobody can beat them if they play the way they can play. I like Daingerfield in this game, though I do think Tidehaven can make it an interesting one.
All right, let me see what Coach X has to say, and then I'll give my pick. The weird writing here. I have yet to receive an answer to the question of why Daingerfield has an I in their name. While Taylor is looking that up, I think he thinks Taylor does a lot more research than we've ever even asked Taylor. In fact, I just told Taylor whenever he hears his name, just ignore it if he's watching the show. This is can't find it. Neither could I. Taylor, where is it? What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the line. While Taylor is looking that up, let me ask this. Where is Tidehaven, Texas? Can't find it. Neither could I. Taylor, where is it? What's that you say? It's in El Matron. Well, that's a much cooler name than Tidehaven. El Matron High School, home of the Fighting.
It's actually El Matone.
Oh, Matone, excuse me.
Matone.
So the R silent. Gotcha.
Maton.
El Matone.
There's no R in there. Coach X.
Oh, he spelled. Oh, okay. That's what it is. So I can blame him. Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
Awesome, man. I really help it when you actually step up for me for once. I mean, we've been in the 16-year relationship, and Coach X has only been here for like 7.
I've always got your back.
Home of the Fighting. Well, okay, so if he spelled that one wrong, home of the Fighting Lucadors. That's a badass name. Or home of the Fighting Banditos. El Matone Bandit. That's actually a pretty damn good name right there.
Yeah.
Hell yes. I'm going with the upset here. Give me the Banditos over Daingerfield. Give me Tidehaven over Daingerfield as well. You are 100% right in one thing you say.
Y'all both have Tidehaven?
Yes. You're 100% right in one thing you say. Tidehaven will not see the athleticism that in any point of their region that they will see against Daingerfield. But the takeaway I always get told by people in this region is Tidehaven is one of the more athletic teams of the region. I think they're good enough, and you still have the Daingerfield. How fitting would it be that Daingerfield beats Newton and then in the state semifinals gets beat by Tidehaven? And I just think Tidehaven's a really damn good team this year.
I think they're really good too, but I don't think they match up very well athleticism-wise with Daingerfield. I think Daingerfield wins this game all day long.
I think they match up well enough with Joseph Dodds to be able to just grind Daingerfield down and get them frustrated.
Hooks wanted to do that. Couldn't do it.
That's a good point. That's a great comparison. Tidehaven's or just died with the hooks off. Oh, that's pretty good. Speaking of, you said it best though. Wouldn't you love to see Joseph Dodds on the Daingerfield team just with that group behind him? But anyway, that's Class 3A Division 1 and Division 2. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to finish things up with Class 4A Division 1 and Division 2 state semifinals right here on SI Design and Printing, Sideline to Sideline state semifinal shows. Media. We talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. So like and subscribe and check us out.
What?
Hey, there's Grant back on camera. We're talking Jet Boats of Texas. Hey, Grant.
Hey, what?
Bet you can guess what Jet Boats of Texas does.
They do poultry. Beef.
Sorry, didn't mean to hit that. Okay,
poultry.
anyway. When I zig, you zag.
Jet cleaners.
Okay.
Help
I
me.
actually
Help
want to
me.
see that. You bring a jet boat into your house to clean it. That'd actually be kind of fun to watch.
Oh, that would be awesome.
They build custom jet boats for you, whether it be fishing, whether it be just wanting to travel
Why would
the
you
river.
go fishing in a jet boat
As fast as you can get there to the spot, buddy.
I don't know. What's the fastest fish? A marlin?
I don't know. Speedy Gonzalez. Oh, that was a mouse. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said
that's racist. That's why they got rid of Frito Bandito.
Yep. Well, Dallas school, Dallas ISD Stadium still have Frito Bandito chip
You can
bags.
still go to Sprague Field and find Frito Bandito bags. And they're very stale.
Well, I still remember us thinking, oh, wow, they brought that logo back. And then you pick up the chip and it's like dust seriously, like the bag falls apart. It was sold. Anyway, we keep doing this to our sponsors. We do apologize. But hey, I always tell the sponsors, you never know what you're going to get when you advertise with us. Check out Jet Boats of Texas for real. Online, jetboatsoftexas.com. You can also find them on Facebook and find them on YouTube. They have some great videos of their custom build. And that's the great thing about them. You go to their website, you can start your custom build before you even have to talk to anybody. Kind of figure out what you want, kind of figure out the price range. Then you submit that, and then they contact you and they start to work with you to get your boat built to the specs that you want. And we do appreciate them for being one of the sponsors here in the playoffs in 2024. All right, we've done 2A, we've done 3A, and now we're going to do a little 4A football. And we're going to start in 4A Division I. As always, we start over on the left side of the bracket. If you're watching on the video screen, man, you're talking about two teams that had to just at times gut it out and make some big scores when they needed to. Decatur and Anna both come up big. We get deprived of Stephenville versus Brownwood. But man, this is, it's funny because of how these two teams got here, Grant, but you and I literally had Anna and Decatur in the state semifinal in our Big R's preview show back in August.
Yeah, we did. And Anna won this game earlier this year, right? So
that's right.
This is the big rematch. Decatur's going to come at you all day long with everything. Nate Palmer, probably one of the best running backs in 4A Division I. Landon Felt at receiver, Antoine Gilbreth at receiver, two really darn good receivers to stretch the field. But it all comes down to me for Anna, Ziandre Williams at quarterback, a true dual threat quarterback.
Dude.
Ronald Bell, Sean Steens, both at receiver, really kind of stretch the field and give Williams room when everybody turns their back to cover Steens and Bell.
So watching the highlights, Jacob Emmers, he was beat up for parts of the year. And so he kind of, kind of like Peyton Brown, he kind of got forgotten about. But what he has done in the playoffs reminds you why so many colleges are looking at him. He made a one-handed catch this past week in the Stephenville game. It was just absolutely phenomenal. He can literally, from the wide receiver, just take the game over.
Yeah. They got two dudes in Emmers and Ziandre Williams who can take a game over offensively.
And if you remember, that first game against Decatur was the first game of the year. That was Ziandre Williams' first start at the varsity level.
Yes.
242 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions, and this was a back and forth game. And typical of these two teams, in the fourth quarter, these two teams combined to score 29 points in that last quarter. Dude, this is going, I don't know if it's the best game. I don't know where these teams end up. This right here of the games that we cover, in my opinion, is going to be the most fun game to watch because this is one of those games.
The first one was fun.
Yeah, 37-30. And these two teams, hey, they're down 2 scores. They don't mind. Hey, if they're up 2 scores, hey, we don't mind. We'll sometimes give that up. I think this is going to be an absolute, just one of those games that will be talked about for years. I think the winning team might need to score 45. I legitimately believe that.
It's going to be 40 plus. The winner has to score 40 plus. Give me Anna, though. I think they do it. Their defense is getting a little bit better.
I think their defense has been better all year over Decatur. That's Decatur's kind of been their weakness this year. And a lot of it is the schedule. And I get
Decatur
that.
has played one hellacious schedule.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of it is the schedule. But again, when you're giving up the points to those teams, Anna's on those levels, and you gave up 30 to a team that was still figuring out their whole quarterback thing, and that has been their weakness. And I just with Anna, it's not like they're going to go out and just absolutely shut down teams, but when you actually go and look at what they've done against good offenses, holding China Spring and Stephenville both to 21 in 2 of the last 3 weeks. Now they did give up 38 to Panther Creek. And that's the fun of these two teams. You just never know what you're going to get. I'm like you. I like Anna in this game. I think it's going to be just one hell of a game. Now, let's see what Coach X has to say. Isn't this just like Anna? Everybody is always about Melissa, and man, Melissa was hot, and she was early on, but then as time went on, she seemed to be less hot and less hot, and then all of a sudden it's the playoffs, and you're hanging out by the hot tub, and Anna steps out, takes her jacket off, and you're like, damn, where's she been hiding that body? Circles the hot tub to let everybody know what's up, and Melissa's just hanging out in the water saying, hey, Coach X, remember my new house? You said you liked that. And what about that game versus China Spring? Yeah, that was cool. I'll call you later, Miranda or Melissa, or whatever your name is. Anna, let me help you out of the hot tub. Have a drink. Now it's a party. Give me Anna over Decatur. So we all are going Anna over Decatur. He's just going about it in a weird way.
Yeah.
What does Coach or what does the playoff tree say? We haven't heard from him in a while.
Well, Terry, I kind of like Decatur in this one. Look, Coach X says, you're in a hot tub with Anna, right? I'm the prime candidate to get all the chicks in to the hot tub. Everybody look, I'll go out to California and all those tree huggers get me in a hot tub with all those tree huggers. Somebody's hand is going to absolutely slip down below my trunk.
So let me ask you this, though. Are you, when you go out to California, are you not a little intimidated by the redwoods? They're so much bigger than you, harder than you, stronger than you.
Yeah, a little bit, but look, I live here in Texas, and I'm Texas strong, but all these people from California moving into Texas, it's sooner or later all these sequoias are going to show up for them, and I'm getting a little pissed off at it, to be honest with you, Terry.
All right, let's stop there before you go on some kind of rant that we're going to have to apologize for.
Why would you apologize for a tree?
I felt like he was about to go into a political side that anyway. All right.
Let him go on.
All right.
Let's talk about the border.
Terry.
All right, that's let's go on to the next one. Chapel Hill versus San Antonio, Davenport. Okay.
Speaking of the border of Region 3.
3 and 4. All right. So first off.
Yeah. What a doozy here.
Yeah. But first off, to China Spring, I apologize. You proved me wrong. I felt that y'all had reached y'all's ceiling last week in a matchup against Kilgore, a team that I thought y'all just didn't match up well against.
Wait, China Spring.
Or Chapel Hill, I meant. Sorry, did I say China Spring? I meant Chapel
you
Hill.
did.
Sorry about that.
I was very confused.
That's so. Well, you spend like
confused.
90% of your life confused, so it's okay.
Okay.
I thought Chapel Hill's ceiling was Kilgore. I even talked about 2 weeks ago that it didn't feel like Chapel Hill has progressed from where they were the last 2 years. They were just kind of the same team. They proved me wrong because they did. It's not just that they beat Kilgore. And I know you can make the case Kilgore, key mistakes, but hey, that's what happens in football games. You take advantage of that. But to hold Kilgore to 19 and to win kind of a physical, ugly slugfest, I didn't think Chapel Hill had it in them. So congratulations to the Bulldogs.
I think maybe it's like fighting your brother.
Yes.
He's bigger, he's stronger, but you just kind of know him. You're not intimidated. So you go in and you just kick his ass like I kick Coach X's ass every week. Right?
Yeah.
On opinions, at least.
And on opinions.
But Demetrius Brisbane, Ricky Stewart, Cameron Kelly, those are the 3 just most athletic dudes in this region, all on one team for Chapel Hill. I don't think right now they're going to get out physicaled. They might play undisciplined on defense, but they're playing so good offensively right now that even if they make any mistakes on the defensive side of the ball, they're making up for it. Now, Davenport will make you pay with Tristan Hamlin, the quarterback, who's 4,000 yard passer, basically, right?
Yeah. This is a different style of team that Chapel Hill's seeing.
Yeah, it is. And, Davenport's got a really good receiver in Emmett Grayman, 1,200 yards receiving so far. So, Davenport and Stratford. And they got a really good running back, Barrett Fallon, that can hit you between the tackles, hit the edges. But I think this Chapel Hill team all across the board is a little bit too quick. I think they're playing so much better since that loss against Kilgore. Look, sometimes a loss is what you need, right?
Oh, yeah, I agree.
And that loss against Kilgore, not only the loss, but the way they lost it, they got totally dominated. I think Chapel Hill recalibrated and made this team a lot better, a lot more focused. I think Chapel Hill wins this game, and they go to state take on Anna.
I want to give you this stat from last week's game. Okay. This blows my mind. Chapel Hill threw the ball 6 times for 7 yards. 7 yards, 1 interception. So terrible throwing. On the ground, 57 carries, 449 yards. 3 guys hit over the century mark. That's like 1983 Oklahoma with when that was their big thing. Get over half 100, hang half 100 on a team. Yeah. They didn't do that, but offensively, when they're doing that and they're not forced to pass, they're going to kill you. I do think this is going to be kind of the same type of game, though. I think Davenport has the depth to give this offense trouble. I
don't think they have the quick. Look, I've seen Davenport a couple of times online. I don't think Davenport defensively has enough speed to the edges.
No, I think if Davenport wins, it's got to be a shootout.
It does,
and they can do that.
They can. They can do that, but I don't think they have the speed defensively to set the edge and contain the edge.
No, I totally agree with that.
And I think Chapel Hill just at the end of the day will show how apparent the speed is compared to what that Davenport defense is.
It's weird saying this, but the higher the score goes, the better chance Davenport has in this game, in my opinion.
Maybe so, yeah. But now I do say this: if Davenport forces Chapel Hill to throw 200 yard, 250 yards for the game, then Davenport wins. But I think Chapel Hill will own the edges in this game and just outrun Davenport. Yeah, I like Chapel Hill.
I totally agree. But I do think this is going to be a really good game. All right, let's see what Coach X
it'll be a great game.
I feel like I'm a bouncer of the semifinals nightclub with my clipboard letting people in the door. Chapel Hill, check. Good to see you again, sir. Have a good time. Hopefully better than last year. Region 4. Where is Region 4? San Antonio Davenport. Hey, are you supposed to be here? You're going on my list. I've got Bernie, Cal Allen, Lampasas. No Davenport. What's that you say? You beat all those teams and you earned your right here? Let's see some ID. Well, I'll be damned. You sure did. You said your name was you said your name was Dickendorf? Oh, Davenport. Sorry about that, sir. Like it's going to matter. Bulldogs win big. I will point out, you and I said that Davenport in the Big R's preview show was a team to watch out for on this level.
I think we did.
And they're here, and congratulations. I don't know where their numbers are, though. I kind of feel like they're immediately into 5A next year. If not, though, they return the house. I mean, this is a program that was their first year last year. So these are all sophomores and juniors. So even in 5A, the Wolves are, I think, an immediate it feels like schools are like that now. It ain't like it used to be. And Brock kind of started this. Hey, you started a new school? That's fine. You can win state in 3 years. Everybody does it. And it's just weird how that works. But I still have Chapel Hill winning this game.
I think Iowa Colony is the mother load of that.
Oh, yeah. Right. They're going to roll right into 5A, and they're going to be perfectly fine next year.
Yep.
All right, let's finish it up. We're going to go Class 4A Division 2. Hey, did something big happen last week in this division? I don't think so.
No, I think everything went to exactly. I thought Gilmer would beat Carthage.
Oh, yeah, you thought it would be easy, actually.
Glen Rose would win. Yeah. And so, nothing major.
So that's actually a fun thing. What was the bigger surprise? Well, it was Gilmer. All right, Glen Rose versus Gilmer. Let's talk about this one. Let's start with Glen Rose. Look, West Plains, great year. But the thing that you and I had talked about when we talked about them, and I had talked about it when I was doing the Canyon show, was you kind of worried, were they one of those teams is where they were? Is that why they're having these pretty wins? And when they played, the best team they played on their schedule was Bushland. and they got beat. First game of the year. It was a great game, 47-41. But that always stuck in the back of my head. And here we go in this game. Glen Rose gets up early and just never lets West Plains running game get going. They held King Tallion as good as you can on the wide receiver. And
one of the best receivers, King Talent, too.
And Reed making their quarter. I mean, West Plains checked off all the boxes. That's why we both picked them. I mean, you and I had even kind of talked when we were talking about Bellville, at the time, does Bellville have the best chance of Carthage? And we were like, West Plains is physical. They might. No, Glen Rose held them to 13 points. That was the biggest shock to me. Not that Glen Rose won, not that Glen Rose scored 45, but that they held the Wolves to 13 points. That surprised me.
Yeah, that's surprising.
That came out of nowhere.
But I think offensively, Glen Rose, man, they can sling it around like nobody else.
And they're clinical in their passing game. It's old school, like
Kenyon Evans, man, 4,250 some odd yards passing. I mean, look, I picked Gilmer to win this game. I think with Caden Tennyson at quarterback, Will Henderson at running back, and then the receivers that Gilmer has. I think Gilmer wins this game, but I think Glen Rose will push Gilmer. They'll make Gilmer's defense earn every bit of it. And Gilmer's defense is getting better, but Kenyon Evans is going to give this Gilmer defense fits.
And this type of offense is giving Gilmer fits, not only this year, but through the last few years. Last week, 38 attempts, 381 yards, 3 touchdowns. He is just going to keep throwing and keep throwing and keep throwing.
It's just how much time is he going to have to throw?
I think he'll have plenty of time.
I don't know. I think this Gilmer defense,
it's heating up.
It's heating up, but you see this Gilmer defense in the scope of work, the schedule they've played.
Oh yeah.
Given I don't think Glen Rose has played anybody like Gilmer.
Oh no, I don't.
Quickness and speed wise on either side of the ball. So I think that's gonna throw Kenyon Evans a little bit out of sorts and make him give up the ball a couple of times. They're not going to be able to run the football, I think, real effectively. And I know this Glen Rose defense is not going to be able to slow down Gilmer.
So I want to go back to as great as what Gilmer did against Carthage. You still gave up 38 to Sunnyvale and had to hang on for dear life.
But if Sunnyvale and Glen Rose played,
I'd have Glen Rose would win by 3 touchdowns.
I don't think it'd be that close.
I
think Glen Rose wins, but I think it would be a lot closer.
Oh, you thought it would be? Okay, I get you. And I have no problem with that. Hey, Sunnyvale ended up being better than we thought. So did Aubrey, by the way.
Yeah.
I just know that, yes, Gilmer's defense has gotten better, but when they've played good offenses, they give up points. Glen Rose is just that type of offense that has given them problems at times. You talk about having...
they're going to give them some problems.
You talk about him having time, and but Glen Rose also, their whole offense is predicated on snap, 1 step, throw. Snap, 1 step, throw. Snap, 1 step, throw.
Timing.
Yeah.
And if Gilmer's quickness can get back there and just disrupt it a tick.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. You know the scary
will.
thing? We keep talking about, Carthage is young. It's next year for Carthage. Dude, what do y'all think Gilmer is? Like,
Gilmer's defense next year is going to be hellacious.
I mean, and I think that we've seen it. What they did, and it wasn't the whole game. And yes, Carthage scored. And there was a couple really interesting coaching decisions that almost got it for Gilmer. But go back and look at that last play. That last play was, as you said, Gilmer coming off the edge, hitting Surratt. He fumbles the ball. They win the game. That's their defense hasn't been great. It's been opportunistic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Gilmer, but I think we're having a repeat of last week with the score. I think it's a 42-40, might even go into overtime. I think both of these offenses are going to carve each other up. It's going to be a fun game. There's a lot. Semifinals should always be fun, but there is legitimately a lot of fun games, just games that even if I wasn't covering, I would want to watch. And this is one of them because telling you what, Glen Rose just feels like that team that everybody keeps writing off and they just keep winning. All right, let's see what Coach X.
I say it's Gilmer 42-21.
Oh, wow.
I do.
I mean, okay, we'll see.
Yep.
That's what I love about this show, proving you wrong. All right, let's see what Coach X has to say. The rumors of Glen Rose's demise was greatly overstated. These 2 guys gave me 2 of my last losses from last week, but I called it, kind of. I told you Glen Rose had heard all year that they were not as good as last year. Terry talked a lot of smack about old Glen, and he finally snapped and said, "Oh, really, Mrs. Bennett? Oh, okay, Mrs. Bennett. We'll have you show. We shall show you." You mess with me too long, you get messed with. Glen, wait, what? You mess with me too long, you get messed with. Glen Rose should have beaten Carthage last year. That is true. If you were at the game, you know this, but guess what? Gilmer did beat Carthage when they shouldn't have. So I'm rolling with the nuts to bust enough points in the winning game. I was just thinking in my head, I am not, because people don't know, I usually don't try to read these. I like to read them cold because they're just funny. I literally was in my head, was like, well, he hadn't said anything about the nuts. And then he finished it with about the nuts. All right, let's finish the night out with what I think just pound for pound is going. I can see this game going 100 different ways. That's Bellville, who dispatched of Jasper 31-7 in a game that was. I watched a lot of that game on replay, and man, Jasper gave Bellville trouble in that first half. But the thing about Bellville, and you talk about it, is they just wear you down, and they just wear you down. And that linebacker for Jasper, oh my gosh, he's good.
Yeah.
A&M, if he stays with A&M, they're getting a good one. He's going to be a force for a long time in college.
Think if A&M gets Bussy and this kid.
Yeah, because Bussy's going to play probably in the secondary. That's or wide receiver. And folks,
you can put him anywhere.
Yeah, and I was about to say, and it's not his size. There's just something about him when he's on the field. It just, some guys that you whenever they're on the field, you just know this is great.
Yeah.
That's Bussy. That's that linebacker for Jasper. Wimberley dispatched of Sinton 38-13. I legitimately think you said in your preview last week, I see Wimberley winning 42-14. You almost got it there, so good job. What are your thoughts about this one? Texans versus Brahmas.
Oh, this is going to be a doozy. This is 7:30 Friday over at the field in Pflugerville. Great place for a playoff game, by the way. Bellville's defense only allows 5.4 points a game. Wimberley's offense averages 51 points a game. Something's got to give, right?
Yeah.
I at the end of the day, look, I think DJ Sanders, defensive tackle / defensive end for Bellville, creates enough havoc for Wimberley's offensive line that is going to make Cody Stover kind of a little bit uncomfortable. But I think, Wimberley might be able to move the ball just a little bit.
I do
Chase
too.
Carson at running back, and then Noah Birdsong and Nolan Wada at receiver. So I think they'll be able to move the football. I don't know if they'll put a lot of points up. I think a lot of it comes down to actually the Texan defense. How are they going to just stop the three-headed monster in the running backs, D.D. Murray, Sam Renicky, and Corian Hood?
Well, first off, damn you, because that was supposed to be my big. I want to tell you, this is going to be about Wimberley's defense, because it will be. I think Wimberley will move the ball on Bell, but Wimberley's too good offensively to not move the ball.
Situationally, but I think there's still times when Wimberley can't move the ball.
Like through the year or in this game?
In this game.
Oh yeah, I don't think that they score 40 points or anything. But I do think that they can. I think that they can put pressure on Bellville's defense maybe more than what Bellville has seen this year. Because they're not going to. I mean, I'm pulling up their schedule right now. They haven't. I mean, Cameron Yo might be the closest to the just style of offense. I'm not saying the talent, but when you look at who they've played through the year. Navasota, Lamar, Columbia, Brookshire Royale, Sealy, Sweeney, West Orange Stark, Madisonville. None of them have the offensive scheme style that Wimberley does. And I think that will give
Wimberley is big and physical.
Dude,
up front.
And I think I texted you that night. I don't know why. Maybe because I hadn't seen Wimberley in person in a couple years. But I don't know why I was so just, holy crap, they're big. Like, I don't know why. Maybe, again, seeing them against Carthage in the state champion, that kind of warps your view sometimes.
Yeah.
But they're big. They're physical. Yes, so is Bellville. And I do think Bellville ends up winning this game, but I do not think this is Bellville-Silsbee or even Bellville-Jasper. I think this is a 35-28 type of game. I think at the end of the day, though, I could see Bellville getting the ball with about 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter and just not giving it up and just, dragging Wimberley down and grinding them down into that 35-28 game.
I think Bellville wins this by 14 points.
I could see that. I mean, with their offense and their defense, if that defensive line's winning the day, You might as well just go ahead and it's over. And Jasper did a decent job early, but at the end of the day, just like the running game for Bellville, eventually that Bellville defensive line will wear you down. I do want to give a shout out to our Wimberley fan who listens, Michael Dye. He was telling me today how he feels like Wimberley's going to win state. And that's the great thing. And this is not a knock on Carthage. We love Carthage. But the great thing is when a team like Carthage gets beat, everybody else in this bracket woke up Sunday going, okay, we really have a chance to win state now. It's not we have a puncher's chance we legit. I mean, every team, even Glen Rose, is practicing right now thinking we have a true chance to possibly win state.
Right.
Does your boy need anything to say before we go? Because we're almost done.
Probably not.
Okay, you're not supposed to answer immediately.
Well, I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to say, Terry? You want me to pick Wimberley over Bellville? Because I will if you're daring me to.
Oh,
what did Coach X say?
Because I'm
going to rebut whatever Coach X says.
Thank you, Playoff Tree. I forgot to read his thing, and we know how pissy he gets. His significant other, or he calls her wife. I call her Coach X's sister, whatever. She says, man, when we leave his words off, he gets crying. She has to change the diaper, bottle of whiskey. It's just really sad. So here you go, Coach X. Wait, where is it? Oh, here we go. Wimberley versus Bellville. Hey, Gilmer, we appreciate you beating Carthage because now that you did that, everybody thinks we're going to win state. Dadgummit, literally what I just said. And not y'all crazy how that works. Sincerely, Bellville Brahmas. Man, I hate picking against the Texans because I am one, but I think I'm going to have to do that. Bellville wins and then takes on the team that beats the team that everybody said would beat them and will somehow be the favorite in the game. Kind of like Alabama being the 4 seed and being favored over the 1 seed. That is true. As soon as the playoff tree came out and Alabama was 4th, I even told you, I was like, well, Texas is playing Alabama in the championship game. Nobody has any trust over them. Good little section from Coach X. So does.
Well, first of all, I think Florida State got totally screwed, but we're not there right now. We're not going to talk about that. But Mike, Norvell, he was right, man. They got totally screwed. Undefeated, Power 5 team. Don't look at me that way, Terry. I will turn these lights off.
What? Wait. What? Okay, first off, what does that mean?
Well, I mean, my little blinking lights, I'll turn off, and then maybe I'll snuff the life out of you, too. I can do it. I'm a big tree. Well, maybe I'm 1.5 feet, but it's only because I got cut down to be on a table in a third-rate podcast. But that being said, I want to say that Coach X picked Bellville. I'm going to say this. If Wimberley wins, Coach X and you both owe me dinner. And let me say, you think it's an easy thing to take me to dinner? I eat a lot of fertilizer. And none of that organic stuff. I'm tired of people putting chicken poop in my fucking... Oops.
Wow. We're going to leave it right there. Tree doing what Coach X does and getting in trouble.
I hope you can bleep that.
Oh, no, it's too late now. It's gone out. Can I ask you something?
Yeah, sure.
Does Playoff Tree know that he's plastic? Like he's not real. None of this is real.
I don't know. I touched him and there was some kind of energy in there.
What do you want to know? Real or not real? I don't know. Come at me, bro. Why is it me against everybody now all of a sudden?
I don't know. I'm not against you. I just
called me plastic.
You are, buddy.
Is your mama plastic?
You're as plastic as a blonde in the 1980s Dallas. You're plastic, buddy.
I mean, that's kind of all women in Dallas and Houston, Austin, San Antonio are plastic.
The great Mike Reiner used to say, the cocaine and boob crowd. Anyway, that is going to do it for what has been a long and tedious class, our state semifinal show. All right, so I do have a couple things we need to talk about next week. We will not have a traditional sideline to sideline show. We do a pregame show for each state championship game, and so we will mix our picks into that. We'll also have Matt Diggs on that show, maybe Brett Sweeney of NETSN. We're going to have a lot of coaches. I know Holiday's head coach, Kyle Atwood's going to join us for that and all that kind of stuff. So we won't be having a traditional show. You'll see the first Sideline to Sideline show go up Wednesday morning for is it 2A Division 2 this year that's on Thursday or Wednesday? They always alternate. Anyway, whichever one it is, that's when you'll see the first Sideline to Sideline. It'll be part of the pregame show. Do you have anything you want to like to add?
No, sir.
All right. And also, we're going to be doing watch parties for the state championship games. I'll be here in studio. We'll have some guests on during that. Intern Noe from Outdrink the Coverage is going to join me for Friday's 2 4A games. And we're just going to do like we do on our Monday night football stuff, where we just kind of sit and watch the game and talk about it. And y'all come in and chat with us and all that kind of fun stuff. We want to thank everybody. This is our official last full-on studio show of 2023, and it's been just an absolute blast. We were kind of nervous making all the changes we did, and I think it's been amazing, and we've got so many great things that we've did here on L4 Media, and we've got so many great things we're going to do for 2024, realignment and all that. It's going to be a blast. Until next time, he's Grant. I'm Terry. This has been, and that's Playoff Plastic Tree, and this is Coach X, and we love him even if we don't. But until next time, this has been Sideline to Sideline, the Class 2A, 3A, and 4A show, brought to you by SI Design and Printing, right here on L4 Media.
I'm running every red light.